And now let's turn our attention to Zimbabwe. The South African nation of 15 million people went to polls today. For days now, the streets have been awash in bright colors in anticipation of the big clash. On one side, you have the incumbent president, Emmerson Mnangagwa. He was seen voting in his trademark scarf today. The president seems quite confident about winning a second term.
If I think I'm not going to take it, then I'll be foolish. Everyone who contests, if you're going to rest to win. And precisely is what I'm doing.
You saw his scarf, green, yellow and red, the colors of Zimbabwe's flag, and his party, the ZANU-PF. That stands for Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front. Bright shades of green, yellow and red are a standard at ZANU-PF rallies, and the 80-year-old leader is known to sport striking outfits in party colors. His biggest opponent is a man called Nelson Chamisa, 45 years old, leader of the Citizens Coalition for Change, also called the CCC. Chamisa supporters are clad in bright yellow, unmistakable during their political rallies. The CCC hopes to usher in an era of change.
Zimbabweans want to be led and ably led. From today onwards, on the 23rd, we are going to remove a ruler and put in place a leader so that there is happiness in Zimbabwe.
Chamisa and his supporters want a reset. They want to end the 43-year rule of the ZANU-PF. Quick history. Zimbabwe got independence from the British in the year 1980, and since then only one party has ruled the country, that is the ZANU-PF. They won Zimbabwe its independence. Their leader was Robert Mugabe, an autocrat, also the country's longest-serving president. Mugabe ruled with an iron grip until he was overthrown in a coup in 2017. That's when Zimbabwe's military took over, and they replaced Mugabe with his vice president, Mnangagwa. Then elections were held in 2018, and the former vice president, won, although by a razor-thin margin. That was the last election Zimbabwe saw. There were allegations of widespread rigging, voter intimidation, and outright violence, basically the same template that was seen during the Mugabe years. Chamisa had disputed the results in court, but he was turned away. This time, he says he won't allow the election to get stolen.
I told SADC that number one, Mr. Mnangagwa is not preparing to win, he's plotting to rig. I told SADC that he stole the election in 2018, but this time I will not accept to allow him to steal the election again.
But the decks are stacked against Chamisa, and he should well know. Zimbabwe's political system has been dominated by the ZANU-PF for decades. The party has strong ties with the military. It was the generals who propped up Mnangagwa after they ousted Mugabe in 2017. The ZANU-PF also controls the police forces. Opposition leaders have been arrested, political rallies have been banned, and CCC supporters have reportedly faced intimidation. Now, Chamisa has been in politics since he was a student. He knows the drill. But he's hoping that Zimbabwe's economic woes will spur people to vote for change, and to do so in large numbers, in enough numbers, so that the result cannot be disputed. Because Zimbabwe is in dire economic straits. Its inflation rate is one of the highest in the world. Officially, it hit 175% this June. Unofficially, it's much higher. The country has seen hyperinflation before. It saw monthly inflation rates of almost 80 billion% in 2008. Yes, we've got the numbers right, 80 billion%. The country had even issued $100 trillion banknotes. It was then forced to scrap its currency. Thankfully, it hasn't come to that this time, not yet anyway, but inflation has been on the rise for years, and the economy is in a shambles, partly due to Western sanctions on ZANU-PF officials. The US, the UK and Europe have sanctioned some people in power in Zimbabwe. The World Bank and the IMF have blacklisted the country. It is not eligible for loans. And this is due to the turmoil of the past decades and Zimbabwe's constant defaults in the past. All this has hurt the economy, and this, I must tell you, is a mineral-rich nation. Yet, it's one of the poorest in the world, and this backslide has taken place during the decades of ZANU-PF rule. So Chamisa believes that the time is ripe for change, and that the people will vote for a better future.
saka pano zvekumangura
panapa ndasvika zvekuma8.
okay and mafamba zvakanaka
tafamba zvakanaka ndinambotora nguva yakareba ndiri pana.
So will Zimbabwe finally get a fresh start, or will old problems continue to haunt the nation? Guess we'll find out in the next few days.